Last week, I started trying to answer the question that's often asked on courses. What's the most difficult thing about learning, the hardest thing about learning this approach? And I said there were two things, I think, two things that actually make it quite hard. And the first was what we were talking about last week, which is listening for opportunities rather than listening for meaning. But the other thing I think is the position that we take in relation to our clients. And the position that we take in relation to the people we work with is one of radical trust. Some time ago, many years ago, Steve DeShazer wrote a paper called Radical Acceptance. I think in terms of radical trust. It's hard to trust the people we work with as much as is necessary in this approach. And trust turns up everywhere, really. Look, we trust people, for example, to know who should come to sessions. You know, when people say, so who should come? We trust the person we're working with to know. We say, look, you'll know best. You bring along anyone you think you'd like to be here and anyone you think could be helpful in moving things forward. We trust people to make that decision. Pretty well the first question we ask people when people arrive is, so what are your best hopes from our talking together? How do you know this has been useful? And whatever people say, we trust them. What they say they want is what they want. And if they say it, they mean it. You know, we're not going to be sitting there thinking, oh, well, they're saying that, but they don't really mean it. So we're trusting people. We're trusting people in terms of who should come. We're trusting people in terms of the right focus for the work we do, the starting point of our conversations, their best hopes. And we trust that people will know the best way to get to wherever they want to get. And obviously they may not know that they know that. And through a process of questioning, people will discover the best way forward, their best way forward. Not my best way forward, but their best way forward. So again, we trust that their best way is likely to be better than my best way in that sense. But there's more. There's more that we need to do when we're trusting. And look, I think trust shows up so clearly at the ends of sessions. You know, very often, I've been talking with people about coaching recently. And so often in coaching, coaches talk about needing to get clients to commit to actions at the end of pieces of work. You know, there's one book which slightly surprisingly is called Solution Focused Coaching, because I'm actually not sure it's very solution focused. In many ways, I don't find it very solution focused. But it's called Solution Focused Coaching. I guess that's a good name. And they talk about pinning clients down. They talk about writing things down. If it's not written down, they say, it's not coaching. But why would you want to pin people down? What are you thinking about people if you want to pin them down? In order to think that pinning down is appropriate or relevant, you would have to assume that actually they didn't want to change. And why would we ever have that thought? That the client who comes in saying they want to change actually doesn't. So in solution focus, it really isn't a question of pinning people down. And neither, indeed, is it a question of action planning. Action planning, getting people to commit to steps, to what they're going to do, is something that actually we find it necessary to do if we don't quite trust enough in the client. Whereas in solution focus, the position we take is that between sessions, the client will do whatever it's right for them to do. And they won't know what it's right for them to do until they find themselves doing it. So pre-planning, action planning, oddly enough, doesn't fit with our way of doing things. What we're interested in is what you could think about, I suppose, as trusting the client to in-the-moment plan, to do whatever it's right for them to do between sessions. And when they come back, I'm not going to have the idea that maybe they didn't do what was right. My assumption is that whatever they did was the right thing for them to do. So this is a position of radical trust. Trusting what they want is the right thing for them to want. Trusting that the things that they raise will address the issues they bring. Trusting that they'll bring the right people. Trusting that they'll know when is the right time to come back. Trusting that between sessions, people will discover in the moment the right thing to do, rather than mistrusting and feeling that we have to pin people down, get them to commit to action. And developing habits of trust, as radical as we do in solution focus, again, is not easy. We have to teach ourselves. It's a position we choose to take. And again, when we can find our way to that position and hold it consistently, the impact on us, not just the client, not just the person we're working with, the impact on us is beneficial. No wonder that solution focus has been seen to be protective of workers against burnout. Trust is at the heart of that, and trusting is difficult.